Hey everybody, I have a good one, another good one for you today. I know a lot of creatives, a lot of people trying to execute a lot of things. I know they have a problem in the execution process. So I wanted to talk to one of the experts in execution because anything you do, you need to execute. So
Mhm.
she's the author of Getting Shit Done. I don't know if I think I demonetized, but it's all good because we're gonna get it done today. So this is Georgie-Ann. I'm gonna let her to introduce herself. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Georgie-Ann Gettin. I go by GSD with Georgie or just Georgie. And I like to call myself an execution expert. And what that means is that I know how to get stuff done if we're keeping it PG-13. But I focus on execution, right? A lot of folks, they have a bunch of ideas, actions that they want to take, but they're stuck in the idea dreaming mode. So I work with individuals and companies to take action. And I also have a company called GSD Solutions where we bring that to the mid stage and the corporate level businesses, and we go in and help them find the proper tools and technologies to grow their communities, grow their companies, and continue to get stuff done as they scale up. So I love productivity and just execution. So that's a little, and I'm also a mom and an author. So
Oh wow.
I do a
So
lot of things. So I'll be doing a lot too.
you're getting it done. You're getting it done. So let's jump straight into it, right? Let's talk about procrastination, right? I think
Mhm.
we all have that issue. I know I have it when you're trying to get something done, you procrastinate. So what would be? I know that we definitely get into the book because it's my must read. But like, if you just scrape the iceberg, what are some of the things about getting something done and eliminating procrastination? What were some of the tips you would give?
Yeah, so the number one tip is focus on one thing at a time, right? Like when I was younger, I used to think, I could be a multitasker doing a lot of different things. And multiple studies have shown that multitasking doesn't really exist. And what you're doing is essentially just spending a little bit of energy on a lot of things, and it's easy to forget. For example, if you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the fridge because I'm hungry, I'm going to go get a sandwich. You're on the way to the fridge and then you look into the bathroom and there's not enough tissue. And you're like, okay, now I need to order tissue or go
Right.
to the store and buy tissue. And then you're walking more and then you come to the kitchen. You're like, oh my gosh, there's dishes in the sink. I need to wash the dishes. So now you've ordered tissue, wash the dishes, and like you're multitasking. You do many different things, but you've
Right.
lost focus. And then you pass the fridge, completely forgot that you're gonna eat something. You sit down and you're like, 4 hours later, I haven't eaten all day. So what
Wow.
we end up doing is that we need to focus on one thing, just accomplish that one task. And
Mhm.
yes, little things will come up, but we have to shelve it. So, I love to walk around with notebooks and I have my phone notes. I have so many different note taking apps because if you think of something while you're on your way to do your one mission, write it down, come back to it later. And then you focus on that one thing, get it to completion, and then go back to that list. And then you'll see, okay, this is a small thing. I can knock these 5 off right now. This is a
Mm.
deeper thing, and it actually has subtasks that I need to focus more on. But I would say the number one productivity tip is to focus on one thing at a time and complete one task in its entirety, if possible, before like deviating. And if you have to put it on hold, make sure it's a clear hold and you know where you left off and how you're going to come back to it, and even scheduling a time to come back to it because we get so distracted,
Mhm.
every single day.
With social media, it helps to get distracted now because you're walking around with a walking distraction. But
Mhm.
you go check your email and an alert pops up on your phone, and next thing you know, you spend 30 minutes on Instagram, which leads you to Twitter. Now you got an argument on Twitter. You got to get back into. So I definitely understand. I feel like right now, I think this day and age is easy to accomplish a lot of things just sitting in your bed, right? But at
Mhm.
the same time, I think one of the challenges that we face is the hurdles of being distracted. And if we can just take a chapter out of your book or take your book and just get things done and execute them, I think the next day will be further along, right? So my
Absolutely.
question is, how did you get into this? How did you just was sitting around and everybody wasn't doing anything? How did you get into this field?
Yeah, and I'm a put my book a little. So I share that story, but it really starts. I was born and raised in Jamaica, and
Mhm.
growing up, everyone had to do what they had to do, right? And then
Right.
after seeing my family immigrate to the United States,
Mhm.
various people in my family, they had degrees and were getting higher level roles when they were in the islands, and then they came to the U.S. and it was like a restart button, and
Oh,
so
wow.
they had to work truly twice as hard and right and figure everything out. And because when you're a child, I don't know if everybody has this experience, and inside of a family, and you're a little, you're cultured more. So you're going to school, you understand different things, you're inside of the culture a little bit more than the older family members as well as the younger family members. I
Mm.
kind of became that translator. So anything that needed to be done, a phone call will come in, a telemarketer or actual service, like my family, Georgie, come answer this. What are they talking about? Explain it to us. And I'm also the oldest daughter.
Mm.
oldest of my siblings. Like, so, I just always had this position of leadership that required me to do a lot of different tasks, whether it was in my family and in a school position. I was really smart, teacher's pet my whole life. Even when I tried to be with the cool kids, like I just had this natural addiction to, or like attachment to, like really doing stuff. And I would always raising my hand, I would be excited. Like, this is how these are the things that energize me. And I realized that not everyone is energized in that way. And then I also saw that there were strategies and day-to-day things that I did that brought this energy, this type of mindset to me. And then I was like, okay, I want to teach other people this, because other people be like, how did you do this? And I'm like, how did I do it? And so I started documenting more of how I got it done, what resources, whether it was like from myself or other books or podcasts and things that I read, or data sets. I'm a little nerd. I love going through data, reading books and stuff like that to say, okay, there are real strategies around this, and how can we achieve those strategies within ourselves?
Awesome. That explains it. That's amazing. So you're speaking about strategies. Okay, one of the strategies that I lean towards is accountability partners, right? I found it useful to have somebody to keep me accountable and whatnot. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100,000%. I support accountability partners, mastermind groups, just a circle, right? And, everybody always quotes like Jim Rohn, you are the average of the 5 people you're around and stuff like that. And it is really true, because what knowledge you're circulating within, your direct circle. So if you don't have a partner or a person that's in your business, having an accountability partner, a mastermind group. And if folks don't know what that is, it's a small group, maybe about 4 to 8 people that you share ideas with. You guys maybe meet once a week, twice a week, once a month. You can differentiate how you meet and how often it happens, but it is so essential to bounce ideas off of other people, give feedback, and then somebody to say, hey, you said you were going to do that thing, and that thing isn't done yet. So what's up? And we also put in consequences. If you do the thing you're supposed to do, here's a treat or a reward. If you don't do it, you owe the group $100. You owe me $100, and things like that to keep each other fresh and challenged. So 100% support those.
Awesome. I'm always looking to join new groups. I feel if I have multiple tasks, I know you say stay away from multitasking, but I have a couple tasks, a couple different projects I'm working on. If I can have an accountability group for each task, it'll kind of keep me focused. So let me ask you a question. I know, we focus on creative entrepreneurship over here on this channel, but so have you noticed a difference between creatives and, let's say, somebody who's more into something like maybe coding, something that is less, not saying coding is not creative, but a little less on the creative side? Have you noticed any contrast between them, or are the problems more parallel?
Yeah, I would say from afar, it definitely looks like they have differences inside of, like, using your right brain versus left brain. But what I've realized is over time is that these things need to kind of work together. So it's great when you have an accountability partner or a mastermind group of people that have different train of thoughts than you do. Because I know I love to we could talk about an idea today, and I will have a basic website, a landing page, a domain name, an email, a logo, all of that by tomorrow morning at like 12 a.m. And that's just because I like to just get it done. So being surrounded by people that are more left brain, where it's just like, let's take a pause. Like, did you do any data tests? Are you doing any research? And, slow it down and kind of not play a healthy devil's advocate to what you're doing, as well as seeing how different things, because, I could look at your, for example, your background and say, wow, I'm seeing like immediately, I'm seeing like circles, I'm seeing the color yellow, I'm seeing the color turquoise. It's one of my favorite colors. But somebody else might see the triangle and like the different shapes and like want to know what that means. And is that a statue? So being able to have those different perspectives. And I don't think, people on the more analytical side are less creative, and the people that are on the creative side are less analytical. I think it's just how we output it, right? We all it's about our perspective and how we see the things that are around us, and then using the things around us to our advantage. An analytical person might try to solve, an art problem by, creating a spreadsheet that could code colors into different tabs. And I've seen people do this, whereas a creative person is like, give me a canvas and a paintbrush. I do not want to touch a spreadsheet. So we all think in pictures almost, and think in patterns and systems, and it could apply to us all. So I definitely say we can complement each other in those realms.
Right. Okay, that's really interesting. And I'm seeing 2 different points here that I like to address. I think there's a over planning and there's under planning, right? I think I did both, right? I think when I first started, I did my content strategy, had my ed cal going, and I overplanned. I had things for every day and this and this and that, and it took me such long to start the process. But when I got into it, one thing came into the process. I don't know, I caught a cold or something small, and the whole thing threw all the wax. I felt like I was overplanning. My plan wasn't able to adjust. Then I just started freestyling, right? But I underplanned. So I find myself, I caught a good Netflix show and nothing happened for the next 2-3 days. So I feel like, so can you speak to how do you find, because I feel like some people may work better with more planning. Some people may work better with less planning. So how do you find that middle ground between both people and say, okay, this, I know you, I'm sure you offer some coaching, some one-on-one, but how do you find in general, how would you find your middle ground in over or under planning?
Yeah, and I love that question because like I have a presentation and I talk about this, right? And I say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I would definitely say always start with a plan, and where you get, you have to figure out what the details are of the plan. But I like to say don't get too granular, right? So stop when it gets like too specific, because then you want to have room for flexibility. So it's like if it's like I want to start my podcast and I want to record in May, right? That's good. And maybe selecting 2 days out of the week. But as you start crunching down, okay, I only want to record from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Now you're making it too tight and that flexibility is gone. And I know me personally, when I put too many granular details into the plan, right, and don't allow things to kind of unfold. Like, what I like to say is leave room for error, right? Leave room for pivoting, leave room for changes to happen. And if you plan too tightly, then when you miss that time slot, you're just like, oh my gosh, I missed it. I guess, the plan has unraveled. And I've been a victim of this many times. It's just like, oh man, I didn't do it. I guess the other 25 things that I was going to do in this track, I guess it can't happen because I missed out on the 6th one. And so I would say leave room for error and build that in. So what I started doing is when I say, okay, I'm going to do a thing, and I estimate, okay, this thing might take 30 minutes to do. So I allot 2 hours, right? I allot an hour, more time, at least double the time, because that way if I get sick or like I have to call out or I'm running late, like there is a gap, right? So even today I had an appointment. It was a 2:00 appointment. And on my calendar, I blocked off from 1 to 4. And that's because I'm like, it's a 2:00 appointment. Maybe I'll leave a little early. Maybe I have to do a commute. Maybe things pop up. And I think as society, and like I'm in New York, been a New Yorker since I immigrated from Jamaica, and we're just in this busy life, right? Like you got to go, you got to do it now. And slowing down allowed me to become more successful. I didn't realize, I'm like, time is money. I got to use all this time.
Right.
Taking back control some of that time allowed me that mental space, that consistency, and allowed me to give myself permission to, if I missed something, it's fine because I've allotted more time and I've been more gentle with it. So it's like if I say 10 episodes going to come out this month, I try not to be specific on when and how, so I could pivot and allow room for change. And also just being honest, like if it's content and you're putting it out to an audience and you promise them on a certain day, be honest with people, right? I think when deadlines don't get hit, the worst thing that happens is like when a person is scared to tell you, like, we're not going to hit this deadline. And now the deadline's here and they should have told you like a day or 2 days ago so you can make adjustments. So be honest about it. Allow yourself more time is the 2 key things I'd say there.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That explains it. But here's a question for you. So in life, all work, no play. We can't have that, right? So how do you schedule in, and this might sound like a silly question, but do you schedule in your playtime?
Oh,
do you
absolutely.
schedule in your work time? Is it like, all right, 2 o'clock, I'm gonna play, 3 o'clock, I go back to work? Is it that tight, or is it like vacation time? How do you adjust? Let's say if, I don't know, let's say something comes out of the woodwork, right? Okay, you have a nice schedule, it's working for you, everything's going great. Let's say for some reason, a show that you didn't hear about comes into town, right? How do you adjust around that? I mean, how would you adjust? Because I know procrastination and not getting things done. What would be your insight on fluctuation of schedule and your work-play balance?
Yeah. So first, this is my calendar.
Ooh.
This is like more like it's always full. But here's the thing, like I said, I like to tell people, like, I live by my calendar. If it's not in it, I'm sorry, I can't show up. I forget, like my brain is moving a mile a minute. And so what I like to do is that same thing that I just told you, leave room for error. And I also try to block out certain times, like certain days of the week when I see, okay, there's 3 meetings and I want to record videos, I just block the whole day, no more meetings. So my team knows, don't put anything on my calendar. A lot of people might use my calendar like it's blocked off off, don't schedule anything here. So that's one thing that I do. A second thing that I like to do is, making days that I have nothing planned, like nothing planned. And if I get surprised, great. And if nothing happens, that's great too. Because I used to try to pack my schedule so tightly that I would become overwhelmed. I would miss things. I would just feel an intense pressure of like, I'm failing all the time because I'm just trying to do too much. And so you don't have to do a lot to get up. You don't have to be doing a lot in order to get a lot done. And I think once I learned that, the whole game was changed, because now I wasn't trying to race with myself or race with others. I was just literally living. Like I went to 2 brunches this past weekend, and I have 2 kids. I have 2 kids, 10 employees. I'm writing, doing workshops, but I went to 2 brunches this weekend because I made that time, and I was very purposeful with like, this is my time. I want to take it back, because if I get relaxed for an hour of relaxation could look like, thousands of dollars output in work, right? Focus in a different way than I didn't have before.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, let me ask you this. What about I feel like there's 2 ways of working. There's goal oriented, right? Where, okay, if I do such and such, if I get, I don't know, 10,000 views or 1,000,000 views or whatever. And then there's task oriented. Okay, I'm just going to do 10 pages of writing, or I'm going to do 30 pages of writing. What do you feel like that's better, or what's worse? What is your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't say, I would say it depends on your long-term end goal, right? Because, for example, I'll just use myself as an example, right? I'll be an example. I have a YouTube channel, and my personal YouTube channel has like 270, 273 followers, right? That doesn't quantity look like a lot of followers. I don't have thousands or millions of followers. And do I have hundreds of thousands of views? No. But what my focus on my channel is quality and getting reach. So this channel, small as it is, has led to dozens of different clients for my industry. Now, if I have a client that needs training, they're watching the videos on that YouTube channel. We've found multiple clients, and I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue generated just from this tiny little YouTube channel. And so in that sense, it's just me putting out the content. So that one view could convert into thousands of dollars worth of clients versus, I'm getting 100,000 views, but that doesn't lead to anything. So I think it depends on your end goal, where my channel's end goal is to gain customers, build our brand, right? That's the goal. And it's working in that sense. And if the goal was to have a lot of views, right? That looks different. That maybe is like a really funny, informational, interactive video like Mr. Beast or some crazy YouTube channel out there. It looks like that for them. And so I have, everyone needs to focus on what their initial goal is. Is it to speak more, right? Maybe I have 150 videos, 10 followers, but my goal is to become a better speaker. And those 150 videos have allowed me to become a better speaker. Wow. Right. So, what is your end goal, and tie that back into your metrics, because everyone's metrics is going to be so different. And I think nowadays it's so easy to get caught up in like, oh my gosh, this person has 1 million followers and 500 million likes, TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, but you're not quantifying it how you need to quantify it for your specific life and personal goals and professional goals.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna get real. Let's talk about mental motivation, right? Because I think a lot of times people have a task, they're focused, isn't it? And as they're going through, they're not seeing the results that they want. So they tend to slow down, they tend to pivot, they tend to change. But can you talk about how to stay mentally motivated? Because I feel like, I think it does play a factor. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 6 months. But after 3 or 4 months, you're not seeing the results that you want. It's kind of hard to make it to that deadline where you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, right? Say if your goal was to get 10,000 views, and you've been pushing, you're getting 1 or 2 views on YouTube. You're like, what am I doing? Do I need to re-strategize? How do you stay mentally motivated throughout the whole process? Because I feel like that's a key of staying focused.
Yeah, it definitely is a part of staying focused. And I think what I have done and what I've coached people to do is sets like they call them SMART goals or whatever, but realistic goals. So if it's getting those 10,000 followers or views in this time period, just see it through. Don't start getting nervous at month 2.5, right? Don't start getting nervous if it is not that 3 month. This is the end of this period, don't do the calculations, because what you're going to do is overwhelm yourself, and you might get all nervous and anxiety and lose your head at week 2 months and 30 days, and that one video that you will upload on the 30th day leads to that end goal. Overnight, literally overnight, you get those 100,000 followers, 10,000 likes, and it's like now 3 months and it's like, oh wow, it worked. So I would say patience is going to be the key to a lot of this. And if you don't hit that goal, now what you have is a data set, right? Not everyone is a data person like I am, but you have to look at it and say, okay, what did I do that worked, right? Simple as that. What did I do that didn't work? Do I want to go on this journey in that way again? Is there a coach or somebody that is a level above me that I could study under, right? Is there something new that I could try? So you now have this information for what happened, how it happened, where it happened, why it happened, and then you can make another plan for the next time, right? Failing is a part of the journey, and failing is going to happen a lot more than succeeding is. But in order to get to that success, you have to continuously do the work. You have to continuously learn and fail. And like in school, you take tests, you do challenges, and you're not going to get it all right the first time or the 20th time. But if you keep going, pivoting, learning from those mistakes, and not taking it as a loss but a lesson, you will get to that goal. And maybe your goals even change along that process. You realize, like I did, I was like, oh, I got to get 1,000 followers, and that was the goal. I'm like, wait, no, I need to get the right people watching our videos. And when we shifted that goal, it didn't matter how many people were following, because the right people were still converting and becoming customers and reaching out.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was going to ask you a question in regards to mental health, but I feel like you covered a lot of that already. So let's move into one of my favorite subjects. Let's talk about tech, right? I went through your channel. I see you talking about Robinhood. I think it's about finance and tech. I'm curious, what do you think? How is tech in finance, and how is that playing? I guess how you feel that they're integrated on the lower level? Because I think a lot of people are able to get into these spaces. I think staying focused is one thing, but having that proper direction is another thing. And I see you talked about Robinhood. So from a independent perspective, getting into that, how do you feel there's a way about going about getting to that?
Yeah, so I'll start with the tech side, and then I'll kind of talk a little bit about like the financial angle of like why I started using these apps. So I've always been a lover of technology. It started when I was a kid, back in Jamaica. Actually, my dad would be like a repair technician, and so he would give my brother and me like cell phones, games, little things to play with and break. And so I just like fell in love with technology at like 5-6 years old. And same thing when I came to the United States, like there was a computer in the house, but I was the only one that knew how to use it, and I play all the games, and have my little fish tank, all the things. And so from a young age, I was just like passionate about technology, and mainly seeing how technology works. So I'm going to continuously say I love to learn. Like it literally is a passion. I have books like around me, other books. Like I love to read, love to write, and think through things. And so once I started pursuing this passion more, I started discovering groups like the New York Tech Meetup, the New York Tech Alliance, and started aligning myself in the tech community. And so I do beta testing literally all the time for different apps, technology, software, unpack it, rebuild it, give ideas, give my feedback. And so because of that, I try to find tech solutions that help individuals as well as like small businesses, because a lot of small businesses, especially in the Black and brown communities, they are a lot of brick and mortar. They're trying to do grow their network, grow their business without using these technical tools that can literally amplify your business overnight, right? We see people might look in the community for funds, and now there's crowdfunding. We see people might try to use business cards or word of mouth. There's a website, Google Business, and so things like that. And it's just like, if your business used this one app, you could reach thousands of people. You could impact, you could collect data, you could make better data-driven decisions. So that's like my foundation, my purpose, and my goal. So I do that on like a personal level, and now I have a big business, GSD Solutions, that does that on a larger scale level for corporations and companies. So now for the finance part, right? The reason why I started embedding myself more into like finance apps is because I, like most people in the country, sadly, like data proves it, had bad credit. And it was because of decisions that I made early in college. I didn't understand credit. I got my first credit card. It was a $300 credit card. I'm like, oh, I got an extra $300. Let me go spend it all in one time, and I'll pay it back when I get paid from, my part-time job. But I didn't understand, you're supposed to use less than 30%, right? You're not supposed to use the whole card. But again, this lack of information and education around financials, like literally ruined my credit, and I made a lot of bad decisions. And when I started fixing it, I was just like, whoa, there are financial education apps and tools that allow me to build credit, learn about building credit, learn about saving while I'm saving and making better strategic decisions for my right now, as well as for my long term, for my family, for my kids. And so I was just like, if I didn't know about this and I'm already ingrained in the tech ecosystem, imagine another person that's not super ingrained in the tech ecosystem. These are very small entry points. Like everybody has a phone, download the apps, right? A lot of these apps have a freemium model where it's free to start. And as you start doing programs and learning and saving, doing different things inside of them, it may be a nominal fee of like $5 a month or $2 or different prices. But I'm just like, I have to share this. And for other creatives, for other entrepreneurs, for other business owners out there, or individuals that are missing out on this information because they're not a part of the right circles or on the right side of Twitter or social media, for example. So, I was like, if I know it, I want to share with other people and give my feedback, because, that's something that I've always loved to do. And I'm, well known in certain spaces. I'm just like, if I can share it and then get one or two people to have a better experience in business, in technology, in their finances, that's what I'm going to do.
Right. That's very interesting, because you mentioned getting around people in business. I feel like culture plays a heavy role in getting things done, right? I feel like in order to change who you are or become a better version of who you are, you have to adapt the right culture. And I've been around I had an opportunity to be around a lot of different cultures at an early age, from Mexican to Asian to white, to Puerto Rican to Jamaicans. And I would say, now Jamaicans, they some hard workers. Now it's the culture of hard work. It's like embedded into them. You know what I mean? They'll be working and talking to you at the same time, having a conversation, driving from one job to another job. Now, so I feel like that is very important. So how would you, let's say if a person or individual say, look, I want to adapt the culture. I want to contact you for coaching. And I want to get into the culture of being around people who are entrepreneurs and whatnot. And I know the internet it's so huge that you can get lost on a .com. So how do you find it? Like, okay, what is there forums you suggest to get into the culture? Is there groups? I know I'm in Atlanta, so I know that there's some places you can go to, but what would you say, okay, look, this is what you want to do to immerse yourself into the culture, to change your way of thinking, or change your working habits?
Yeah. So I actually wrote like for my capstone in college, I wrote like this small ebook called The Past, Present, and Future of Black and Latino Tech Innovators. So I'm definitely happy to give that like guide. And what it has is categorized like different groups. Some of them have no longer exist, but some of them still have existed. And I think it depends on, there are, like, you're right, there's so many groups. So you have to figure out what is your geographical location, or, now that we're remote, what location do you want to be a part of, right? Then we start looking for terms. Is it more creative? Is it more entrepreneurship? Is it coding? Is it technology? Is it marketing, right? Facebook is a great starting point, right? For very early stage beginners. That's where I got my start. A lot of different Facebook groups. I would say, edge towards smaller Facebook groups, because 100,000 person Facebook group, it's huge and it's cool. But what happens is that you have so many people at different levels. So try to use keywords like entry level or early starters, or my first business, like words that say it's like we're early and intermediate, so you could be among your peers to ask questions, and maybe one or two of those more advanced groups that you could see kind of what's out there, what's next. Because it's always good to be in a space where you're a consistent space, that you're surrounded by people on a similar level, but then another space that you can aspire to, like, oh wow, that could happen, like a dreaming space, right? So that way the doing space is active with colleagues, and then the dreaming space is people ahead of you. So based on your location, what your interests are, start searching, right? Google is your best friend. YouTube is your best friend. And let's say you go on YouTube and you see a content creator making something really cool, and you're like, that's the industry I want to be in. DM them, email them, however their contact method is. The worst thing that they could say is no. And like when I was early in the tech ecosystem, I started going to a bunch of free events. This was pre-COVID, and I started looking on Eventbrite. So I'd go on Eventbrite, look up free events or low-priced event, because I was a college student, I had no money. Going to events and meeting people, right? Just networking in person. So now, as we open back up, are there opportunities to network in your community? And so that's one thing I did. And then once I started networking and I saw events that were higher priced or more elite, I'm like, one, I can't afford that. And two, that's not in my circle, but I
Right.
want to be in that room. So how do I get into that room? So I had to be strategic. So I was like, oh, everyone needs extra volunteers. I have time. I may not have the money, but I have the time. So I started volunteering for events, right? Completely free, because I know if I'm in that room, somebody's going to get to know me. I'm going to get to hear what's happening on the stage, be educated
Right.
about the space, and I get to network with these people that
Wow.
are the next level up. So I'd volunteer for dozens of events. And sometimes, volunteering could lead to free swag or backstage access or little different things that allow you to level up even more. I would enter pitch competition. So, my first computer that I have, like my first fancy computer that that was a completely free computer. I've got tablets. Like there's so many initial starter ways. So volunteering, looking for events online, joining Facebook groups, and going to in-person events that have the audience or the market that you're trying to enter is the best way to start. Find people that are doing what you want to be doing or currently doing what you are doing, and start talking to them, because you never know who you'll be connected to. If you are active on social media, talk about what you're doing. Don't shut up about it. Just talk about it. That's how we got connected. Just talk about it. You never know who's going to reach out, and every opportunity is an opportunity. So make it that. So, if you're able to get your foot in the room, a foot in the door, I'm here. This is what I do. If you make clothes, rock your clothes. If you make designs, if you're a singer, talk, singing, or whatever. But you have to play around with, I got this opportunity and I have to make the best of it, because this might be my one shot. It's not gonna be your one shot, but act like that it is. Like you got to come correct, show up, and be consistent in that.
That makes sense. Okay, let's get into actionable items. Let's get into, so we want to reach out to you, right? What services we know you have the books. We get the book, right? So do you offer, I assume you offer the coaching, right?
Yeah.
So do you have like a coaching plan? Could you talk more about it?
Yeah, so I do offer one-on-one coaching, and I'm actually rebuilding my space Doer Labs, where I offer group coaching. So that's going to be launching around early May. I kind of shut it down while for the last like 18 months while I focused on building my bigger company, GSD Solutions. So personal brand GSD with Georgie, that's like working directly with me. That one-on-one coaching, if you go to gsdwithgeorgie.com, you'll learn more about that. And again, the group coaching program is going to be launching in a couple months. And then if you're a startup already, so if you have an already established startup or a small business, or you work for a corporation that needs tools and technologies to build communities and better connect with your customers through different sales system and marketing systems, that's when you reach out to my organization, GSD Solutions, gsdsolutionsinc.com, or if you find me on social media, just DM me, I'll send you the link. That's where we offer different packages, and we also have like a more group consulting. So it's like my team and I will meet with your team, and we could do monthly consulting or retainer basis or project based, and then we work with you and execute on those action items.
Awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing. I feel like it was so much information coming out. We got to digest it. I feel like people need to rewatch it. You know what I mean? Get the actionable items. And feel like it's all about execution. And we talked about it, like nothing gets done with execution. You have the best. I feel like ideas to me are cheap, right? Ideas are a dime a dozen. Everybody has an idea. I mean, but I had the idea for Uber, and I actually told somebody the idea for Uber jokingly, right? I was like, this is the idea for Uber. No cabs. You just use your cell phones to connect with each other, right? I told it. I think I even posted about it. It was jokingly. It was just such a actionable item. But I would say if I would have followed up, if I would have checked the execution of that, and I think some ideas, now here's where we might go different sides here. I think certain ideas are not necessarily executable within your resources, right? I think you can obtain resources
100%,
but some ideas have to be scaled down, or you have to maybe put in your back pocket and execute what you can, right? If I really had, some ideas you can't necessarily execute them necessarily within your means, and I think you will end up the mountain's too tall to climb, and you end up not doing anything. Where I feel like maybe you smaller items and build your way in that direction. So if you have this great tech idea, maybe you start with a smaller version of the tech, and you implement that, you build your fan base, your core following, you can raise funds, and then even though in your back pocket you have this great granular idea, you constantly take steps to build towards that. What's your thought? Or do you think like, look, hey, throw it to the wall, bet the house on it? You know what I mean? Because I have a friend of mine say you need to bet the house. You know what I mean? But he was successful betting his house, so now that's all you talk about. But I think, do you bet the house and say, you know what, I'm gonna go full on it. I'm gonna go come what may. it's gonna be success and I'm gonna believe it? What do you think? Do you
I say you have to, again, it's very situational, but I say 90% of the time, do not bet the house, right?
okay.
Be smart. And so I definitely agree that not every idea is meant to be executed based on the level you're at. And another thing I'll say is not every idea that you have is for you. And so, there have been ideas that I've had or things that I've saw and I've executed on, ideas that I had that I executed on, or ideas that somebody had that I executed on, and I was just not even supposed to be a part of that conversation, right? And because it's like my excitement, I like to say I'm rocket fuel. I come in at something, I'm like, oh, let's go. We making this happen right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. And so, you have to be strategic. And so with that, there's something called an MVP, minimum viable product. So if you do have this big idea, I like to say think big, but start small. Because yes, Facebook or even the iPhone as we look at it now has so many different features. You can download so many apps, and there's even core features on the iPhone that I'm pretty sure most of us don't even use. Like, are people using clips? Are people using the little like measure your wall thing? Like, there's different apps that we don't even use, and we have these devices. And so I want to say that because these apps, these products, these phones didn't start at the version 14.9 Katana that it is now. It started as version 1, actually version 0.01. So start, what is your 0.01? What is the smallest piece that in your means you can make real now? If that's what you want to pursue, make that real. Like you said, get customers, get people supporting, and then say, ooh, I have another thing, and just sprinkle it on. Because if you wait too long, if you build the thing in its entirety, if you're able to if you have this great idea and you're able to build it all the way out, by the time you launch it, it's too late, right? In every industry, right, from cars to TVs to airplanes, there were multiple people in different parts of the world, and that's before cell phones and internet and all that stuff. Multiple people that had the idea, started building it. And it was about the person that got it to where it needed to be first, right? Bunch of people tried the airplane and tried to figure that out, but it was the brothers, the Wright brothers, that did the final thing. Like, and they had, they played around with it. And so do what you can within your means. Do not bet the house, right? Do not bet the house. And but that's 90% of the times. There may be times, and I don't want to advise people this. There are few magical moments that are meant for certain individuals that we don't know who, that it is the right decision. So I'm not going to advise it. But if you feel it so deep in your gut that you're like, ain't nothing else but to bet the house, then you do you. But for the rest of us, never.
Okay, I got it. Don't end up homeless. Okay.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. Because there are some ideas that you feel so passionate about, but I feel like in a month later or a week later, the passion is gone. And you're like, now you start seeing all the plot holes. I call it the romance phase. You start seeing all the plot
think
holes.
of it like dating. Are you avoiding some red flags because you want something else? Like, really,
you don't propose on the first date, right? You just, hey, this is it. Throw it all in. It was a good date. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But I feel like what you do is so pivotal of what needs to be done, right? I feel like everybody needs a coach. I don't know what's the correct terminology for your type of style of coaching, but I feel like everybody can use you going forward, because what you don't want to do, time is money, right? And if you're not utilizing your time wisely, you're spinning your wheels. I feel like it's like on a treadmill. You're running, but you're not going anywhere. So it's very important to use that time wisely and go somewhere. Because I feel like if every day you take one step, then maybe like 100 days, you're way farther when you begin, even if it's one step. Because I feel like then you can start going downhill and you can just kind of coast it then. But so I think what you do is so important to everybody's task, whether it be entrepreneurs, creatives, people who's trying to be moms or dads or whatever, trying to upgrade with themselves. I feel like everybody needs somebody in their corner coaching them. I feel like when it comes to sports, and I feel we treat sports so serious, but I know I was in sports. I played Little League, and my basketball coach, he was a coach, and I mean, he would tell you what to do and during the game and like before the game, but it didn't stop there. You know what I mean? You wouldn't just. He would say, the game doesn't start when you step on the court. The game starts when you wake up in the morning, right? Exactly. So you have to change your work habits, your eating habits, your sleeping habits, everything, and become like a better version of yourself. Because if you're doing this, I mean, we are in a competitive market with other creatives, with other tech people. And so I don't want to say you have to focus on outworking somebody. You do your own thing, which be best you can be, but you have to be aware there is competition in this field. So, so you do the best you can, but I feel like it doesn't start when you step on the court. And I feel like you need a coach. If we know coaching in in basketball and football and sport, if we know that works, and then you see all these CEOs, they all have coaches. Like I didn't know about the word of coaching until I had to interview this guy, and I forgot who he was working. I think he was working with Coca-Cola. He was like a really powerful CEO, and I was googling his name to get some questions and information. And I looked, it hit net worth right next to his name. I said, net worth? Oh, this guy's loaded. So I click on it. I said, hey, man, we got cool or whatever. I said, man, you worth over $40 million. He was like, yeah, that's not all liquid. And I said, well, I started asking him questions, and he kept referring to my coach. I didn't know he was talking about. I thought he was talking about sports. I said, oh, okay, what sport you play? You know what I mean? He's like, what's sport? I was like, no, you coach. He's like, no, I have a financial coach, and I have a this coach and that coach and this coach and this coach and that coach. And I'm like, wow. And then he got assistants and stuff like that. So I think a lot of times we try to do it alone, especially as minorities. We try to do it alone, and we're going to do it by one. But I think the like people like you're so integral. And I feel like I hope more people find out about you so they understand, like, okay, I got to reach out to her so I can, because you might not be going as fast. You might be going fast. You're going 60 miles per hour, but, you get the right coach, someone like you. Now you're going 300 miles per hour. You're like, oh, wow, now I understand. And do you have second ideas and second eyes and people who are, if you ask somebody advice who's kind of random, they can give you advice, but they haven't been with you for like 6 months. They don't know the hurdles you face. You have a coach that's been with you like 6, 7 months, 8, 9 months, 10 months, and then she's coaching other people. So she's like, yeah, I know, but I've told you somebody else, and this part of the industry is turning this way. So having a coach who's, who's parallel with your benefits and whatever, because you can put a coach like, look, if I make this, I'll give you a percentage of my profits. So now, not only the coach is coaching you, she's part of the game too, right? So I feel like coaching is very important. I think that's something we overlook, but it is a necessity. And I feel like I hope more people, will contact you and say, yo, let me get a coach, especially you, because you could be interested. I feel like you like a core coach. You got to be, you're involved in everything. You can have a financial
I'm like, let's go. We got to get it done.
Exactly. You're a core coach that everybody can use. You know what I mean? There's financial and tech coaches and whatever, and blah, 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 but you have to have the co-coach of even, they can probably contact you and expand to have a coaching roster like the dude had. I was like, man, you do everything.
As you grow, right? Like they say, Beyonce's 24 hours is not your 24 hours, because Beyonce is not just Beyonce. Beyonce is her photographer, her hairstylist, her makeup artist, her team, her dance. There's so many people that, there's, even in the weave. Like I saw a tweet on Twitter that saying like the wigs that she wears is like these twins in like the Ukraine or somewhere like that. They grew their hair for like 3 years, and then that became, so even them, that is a part of her team. So coaches, therapists, a lot of times people look at like their therapist, their doctor, their pastor as like a key part of their circle. Your coach is the same thing as that, right? Your financial advisor, your accountant, your strategist. Like you need these people inside of your life, inside of your business, in order to have that clarity, right? Because you can stay here, we can, like they say, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, right, we have to go together. Like any successful business, any successful group, any religion, like anything that you could think of that attained success, it required an army of people. And it may look like it was just like that one person, they're like, oh, self-made billionaire. But listen, if you're a self-made billionaire, the bus driver, the cab driver, the airplanes, the pilots, the food that you ate, all of those, your house cleaner, all of those roles made it essential so that way you can focus on whatever you focused on to get to that point. But everyone needs a support system and a circle. So, going back to accountability, mastermind, and having a solid team behind you to get stuff done. Like that is literally one of the key parts. And I talk about it in my book. Having a team is what leads to that success. And team looks different. It doesn't mean like the person that's employed by you or a partner. It looks different for everyone, but having a circle, a team is essential.
Awesome. I'm gonna close it with that. That's the perfect ending to it. And I appreciate you being a guest and show you a lot of information. I hope we inspire some people to get coaches, and your information, I'm gonna put it below. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have the URL, everything below, so you can contact her day and night, 24. The email works 24 hours. I tell people, like, sometimes you can send emails through the night and you wake up in the morning, you get a response. So I contact you and reach out to you. Definitely get the book. Start with the book. Get the coaching. Get it when it needs to be done. I mean, elevate yourself. Don't not do this. And if you're already a billion, you're killing it, that's one thing. But if you're growing and you want to go faster in what you're doing, you definitely need a coach. And I hope we inspired everybody to get a coach. I'm gonna let you have the final words to the audience. I'm just say thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. And my final words, my favorite final words is, you may not have everything that you want to get stuff done, but you have everything that you need. And so think of that and knowing that you have everything that you need, and let's go. We're ready. Reach out to me or reach out to somebody else. We are ready to help you take it to the next level.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much for
much.
having me.
Everybody have a good